Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Relaxing with Watercolor. I'm Anna, and I have to say, I've been in such a summery mood lately, which has made me crave ice cream like no other. So today, we're painting a sweet and simple ice cream cone. Personally, I really enjoy painting ice cream cones because they offer a great opportunity to play around with texture and shading. Today, we're focusing on some of the basics, but once you get the hang of it, go ahead and let your imagination run wild with colors and toppings. And when you're done, go ahead and name your ice cream flavor something fantastic. As always, if you do want to paint along, take a peek at the video description for a list of materials. To start this ice cream cone, I've loaded my brush with enough water to get a nice thick coat of this juicy orange color on my brush, and I'm making a semicircle toward the upper right of my paper. This will be the right side of our ice cream. Next, I'm loading some yellow onto my brush and painting the center line of the ice cream. And finally, I'll load up some chartreuse and make a semicircle on the left to complete our scoop of ice cream. Based on the colors I've chosen and the thumbnail, you've probably gathered that I'm going to make a gradient, which requires some blending. So I'm going to load my brush with water and start pulling color from the orange on the right toward the center to blend with the yellow. Next, I'll clean my brush, reload with water, and then blend from the other side, pulling my green toward the center again to blend with the yellow. Once I've got the base color for the ice cream established, I'm going to round out the top and make some scraggly edges at the bottom that all scooped ice cream has. And I'm simply doing this by pulling the existing colors down a little bit and using some small swirling strokes. From here, I'm going to add more orange to the outside of the ice cream. Since the paper is still wet, the color is going to pool on the edges of the wet areas, which we want because that gives us some effortless shading and texture that brings the ice cream to life by adding dimension. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side with the green. And here I'm just going to soften the outer edges of the ice cream by loading my brush with water and slightly pulling just a tiny bit out from the edge to create a more natural texture. I've decided I want to intensify the color a bit more on the outer part of the ice cream, so I'll repeat the same process as before, working my colors from the edges in. All right, so this is starting to look like some really yummy citrus sherbet, but even if you want to do, let's say, strawberry ice cream that wouldn't have such a varied range of color, you could still use the same method, but choose, let's say, deep magenta or red for the outside strokes and a lighter pink for the middle stroke. You can feel free to play around using the same formula and techniques, but just plug in different colors and see what happens. Next, we're going to move on to the ice cream cone. I love a big old waffle cone, so that's what this is going to be. For the base color, I've chosen a golden yellow, and I'm going to start by making a rough outline of an upside down triangle. I won't close it off at the top though, since the ice cream would be covering it. To fill in the base, I'm going to make upward strokes, kind of like light beams shooting into the ice cream until the entire triangle is filled in. Once the base color has been applied, I'm going to clean my brush and load some dark brown onto it to use for texturing and shading. I'll start by applying the brown to the edges of the cone since we'll want the edges to be a little bit darker. Now to make it a waffle cone, I'll add a scraggly thick line for the edge where the waffle folds in. It will be slightly diagonal and I'll start from the top and paint down toward the point of the cone. To get the waffle iron marks, I'll paint evenly spaced diagonal lines starting from left to right and then crossing them right to left on each section of the cone. This will give you that nice diamond pattern. After taking a first pass at this waffle texture, I've noticed that there is this one line that is super thick compared to the others, but that's fine. We'll just make the other lines a little bit wider by running a wet brush over them to soften them and continue to blend the dark brown with the golden yellow. I actually like this softer look because it's more subtle and doesn't compete with the scoop of ice cream for attention. I'm also going to make some diagonal strokes from the top of the cone down toward the point with my wet brush to continue to blend the colors and tone down the texture on the edges. Okay, I like the look of the texturing, but I do want to bring a little more shading back into the edges. So I'll add a final layer of dark brown to the sides of the cone, the fold line, and also some shading right under the ice cream to create a slight shadow effect. With the cone complete, we just need to add the cherry on top. And for the cherry, I've chosen a rich red color, and I'm basically making the outline of a heart minus the pointed bottom. Before filling in the color, I'm going to make a couple of small circles at the top of the cherry to reserve that white space for highlights. To fill in the cherry, I'm going to pull color from the outside edges in toward the center. And to finish off the cherry, I'm using my dark brown to make a stem. This stem is going to look kind of like a curved capital T that swoops out of the top of the cherry. I'll start by making the top of the T where I want the stem to end, and then making a slightly curved line toward the top center of the cherry. All right, our ice cream is complete. Thanks so much for joining me today. Please remember to like and or subscribe if you've enjoyed today's content. Also, if you picked out a great flavor name for your ice cream, drop it in the comments with a description. I'd love to hear all about it. I'm calling this one Sure Better Believe It. Until next time, take care.